Look, the world's been lying to you, measuring her with a yardstick that misses her soul. They count dollars while ignoring the fire in her eyes, the kind that could burn empires or build them. She steps into a space, and gravity shifts, not by chance, not by design, but by the weight of choices made when no one was looking, when she picked herself up from betrayal's ashes, when she said no to settling and yes to rising. Society wants you focused on what she owns, but that's a trap to keep you blind. Real wealth? It's her standing tall when life tried to break her. It's the wisdom she carved from nights nobody saw her cry. It's the loyalty she shows herself when others walk away. Brother, if you're still judging her by her car or her address, you're missing a fortune that banks can't hold. A woman like that? She's not just rich, she's a revolution, and you're either awake to it or asleep to everything that matters. Let's be clear, the world's running a scam, and you've been buying it too long. They've got you chasing numbers, bank accounts, square footage, designer tags, while walking past women carrying fortunes that would make tycoons rethink their lives. She enters a room, and the air feels heavier, sharper, like a blade honed in silence, not because she's loud or flashy, because she's done the work, faced her reflection when it wasn't pretty, rebuilt herself piece by piece when life scattered her across the floor. That's not luck. That's power forged in moments when quitting was easier than breathing. This isn't about logos or status. It's about a woman who moves with a compass only she can read. She knows who's real before they open their mouth. Spots the difference between solid and showy, between those who deserve her time and those who'd waste it. That's discernment you can't buy. Wisdom you can't borrow. Strength you only earn by surviving what others couldn't. Society's got you trained to measure worth in what shines. Cars, houses, likes. They built empires on making you feel less if your wallet's light or your feed's not curated. It's a hustle to keep you running, never arriving, because the goalposts move every time you get close. But watch her. She stepped off that treadmill, decided her value doesn't dance to market swings or trend cycles. Her wealth, it's in how she honors her word when it's hard, how she holds her ground when pressure screams conform, how she stays human when pain begs her to turn cold. Real talk, most people can't see it. They're too busy counting possessions to notice principles. But her power isn't in what she has. It's in who she is when everything's stripped away. When friends vanish because her growth exposes their stagnation. When success shifts the room and loyalty shows its true face. She's been abandoned, yeah, but she learned. That's not loss, it's clarity. It's the universe showing her who's built for her journey and who's just along for the ride. Her currency is invisible to most. It's the way she processes betrayal without letting it poison her. Takes heartbreak and turns it into insight, not walls. Most would get bitter, build fortresses to keep pain out and joy with it. Not her. She crafts gates, not cages. Lets in what elevates, keeps out what drains. That's not just strength. It's strategy. A blueprint drawn from battles nobody saw, where she chose to evolve instead of erode. And here's where it cuts deep. She doesn't need your applause. Her worth isn't tied to your approval or society's checklist. She's rich in ways that don't depreciate. In clarity that sees through facades. In courage that doesn't flinch when life tests her. In loyalty to herself when others walk away expecting her to chase. If you're still measuring her by what's in her purse or on her wrist, You're not seeing the empire she carries in her spine. The kind of wealth that makes you question everything you thought you knew about value. And that's where the foundation hardens, where she decides she's done shrinking to fit rooms too small for her truth. Ownership isn't about control. It's about claiming every piece of who she is, who she's becoming, and who she refuses to be, no matter who's watching or walking away. It's her saying no to expectations that were never hers, and yes to a vision only she can see. The first brick gets laid when she stops apologizing for existing, stops dimming her light because it makes shadows nervous, stops explaining her choices to people who profit from her doubt. That moment is construction. Not loud, not flashy, but deliberate. She's not waiting for a nod from the world to be herself. She's answering to her own North Star, aligning with values that don't bend for convenience or applause. Real talk, building power is lonely. It happens in quiet hours, when others are distracted. Early mornings when discipline feels heavier than dreams. Late nights when friends ghost because your focus mirrors their lack. You'll lose people, not because you're wrong, but because growth exposes who's comfortable with your struggle, but threatened by your rise. She learned that. Learned to keep building when loyalty shifted, when success changed the room's temperature, when people she trusted showed they were only there for what she could give, not who she was. Her empire rises brick by brick. Every time she chooses herself over comfort, that's mortar. Every boundary she holds against pressure to fold, that's framework. Every standard she keeps when loneliness whispers compromise, that's a tower rising. Her blueprint doesn't come from society's architects, who'd rather see her small, dependent, unsure. She designs her life with precision, relationships that add value, not drama, opportunities that align with her purpose, not just her calendar, commitments that fuel growth, not just fill time. Here's what shifts everything. She builds for legacy, not likes, for impact, not image. She's not performing for a crowd or chasing validation that fades when the spotlight does. Her structure stands because it's rooted in bedrock values that don't sway when trends shift or friends bail. She knows time is the one currency you can't earn back, and energy is the resource that shapes everything else. So she's selective, strategic, not cold, just awake to what serves her and what steals from her. Ownership means she owns it all, her mistakes without making them her identity, her past without letting it chain her future, her pain without weaponizing it against the innocent. She owns her power without dimming it to soothe egos that can't handle her shine. And when you see her unapologetic, aligned, moving with purpose, you're not seeing arrogance. You're seeing a woman who's done the work most avoid, who's faced shadows most deny, who's built something so solid it can't be shaken by betrayal or abandonment, because her foundation isn't built on who stays, it's built on who she's become. And that foundation fuels movement. When ownership turns into action, you see a woman who doesn't just think different, she moves different. Her walk isn't arrogance, it's certainty, not the kind that needs to prove itself with noise or flash. The kind that knows its place and claims it without apology. You feel it before she speaks. The room adjusts to her presence, not because she demands it, but because her energy sets a standard that chaos can't touch. Watch how she moves. Every step deliberate, not drifting through life reacting to others' agendas. Her time isn't up for grabs just because someone wants it. Her energy isn't a buffet for those who bring nothing but appetite. She's creating, not just responding. Directing, not just following. choosing who gets access based on who shows up with loyalty, not just convenience. She's been burned by fair-weather friends, seen people vanish when her success outgrew their comfort. That taught her to move with purpose, to choose with precision. Her decisions reveal everything. She doesn't choose to impress or fit in. She chooses to align with values deeper than trends. She's playing chess while others play checkers, seeing 3 moves ahead. Understands that short-term ease often costs long-term peace. That saying yes to everyone leaves you empty. So she waits longer, stays disciplined when others indulge, holds standards when others fold, and when loyalty shifts, when people she trusted walk away because her growth exposes their stagnation. She doesn't chase, she observes. Notes who's consistent, who's just convenient. Let's be clear, her boundaries are her superpower, not walls, but gates, filtering who enters her world. She says no without guilt, because guilt is how people manipulate you into giving what they haven't earned. She's unavailable for drama, not because she's cold, but because she's learned that nonsense costs more than it's worth. She walks away from chaos that hooks others for weeks, lets go of arguments that don't serve growth, protects her energy like it's her most precious asset, because it is. And that movement changes everything. She doesn't chase attention, she attracts it, doesn't beg for commitment, she inspires it. People who play games either get serious or get gone. Those who take her for granted realize what they're losing, not because she demands it, but because her clarity exposes their lack. Pretenders fade, not always physically, but energetically. They stop reaching out, stop pretending they can match her pace. And she lets them go. No drama, no convincing, because she knows the right ones don't need persuading. They show up ready, or they don't show up at all. Here's what's wild. Her movement isn't just about her. It's permission for others to move the same, to stop chasing people who don't stay, to stop proving worth to those who don't see it, to start walking with purpose, even when it means walking alone for a season. She's proof that you can outgrow betrayal, survive abandonment, and still move forward with a heart open but guarded, strong but not hard. That's the kind of movement that reshapes the ground for everyone watching. And that movement carries her through fire. Every powerful woman you admire has been broken, not ruined, but cracked open by life in ways that would have ended lesser spirits. Failure isn't her enemy, it's her forge, where betrayal, loss, and collapse hammer her into something sharper, stronger, more herself than she was before the heat hit. The crucible comes uninvited. A relationship she poured years into ends in lies. A career she bled for vanishes overnight. Trust she gave freely gets weaponized against her. Life strips away what she thought defined her, security, status, love, and forces her to find who she is when nothing's left to lean on. It feels like punishment. Feels like dying. Some mornings, the pain hits so fresh, she has to relearn how to breathe, how to move, how to exist when every instinct screams surrender. But she doesn't. Something in her refuses to let failure write the ending. She gets up, messy, raw, scared, but moving. Not with fanfare or inspiration, but with grit that says pain won't have the last word. That's where her power is born, not in avoiding the fall, but in rising after it. Not in being perfect, but in being persistent. Failure teaches what success can't. Betrayal shows her who people really are when they think you're too broken to walk away. Loss clarifies what matters. family, purpose, self-respect, versus what she chased because it looked important. Collapse forces flexibility, shows her worth isn't tied to outcomes or timelines. She learns detours aren't disasters. They're often protection from paths she didn't see were dead ends. Real talk. It hurts. Some days she plans her exit, not just from situations, but from trying altogether. That's normal, but she stays. Chooses better over bitter. Chooses wisdom over walls. Most would harden, shut down, build armor that blocks pain but traps joy, not her. She processes hurt without becoming it, feels it fully, then releases it, because carrying wounds like trophies only poisons the carrier. Here's the twist. Her failures aren't endings. They're blueprints. Every crack shows where strength was built. Every scar maps a battle she won by showing up. She's not flawless. She's forged. Her credentials aren't degrees or titles. They're the moments she survived when giving up was easier. When she chose to rebuild instead of resent. When she let pain refine her instead of define her. That wisdom changes how she moves. She knows falling isn't fatal. Knows mistakes don't make her less. Knows her worth isn't on trial when life tests her. She's relatable now, not because she's perfect, but because she's real. Can sit with others in their pain without rushing to fix it. Can admit she's been broken without shame, because breaking is just the process of becoming something life can't shatter. And that's her gift. Proof that failure isn't final. That you can lose everything external and still have everything internal. That surviving abandonment or betrayal doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Her scars aren't flaws. They're the map of a woman who turned fire into fuel, who walked through collapse and came out carrying a blueprint for strength nobody can take away. And that blueprint demands the right soil. You don't grow into power by staying planted in dirt that chokes your roots. She learned early, your environment isn't neutral. It either feeds your rise or fuels your stagnation. Get honest about where you're planted, or you'll wonder why you're wilting when the ground beneath you was never built for growth. She tends her garden with precision. Not everyone gets to take root. Some people are weeds, pretty at first, draining over time. They show up with charm, promises, smiles, but their roots steal nutrients, choke out what's real. The friends who cheer your lows, but ghost your highs. The family who need you small to feel big. The partners who love your potential, but resent your progress. She sees them now. Learned the hard way when loyalty vanished as her light grew brighter. Pruning isn't cruel, it's survival. She cuts what's dead, removes what's toxic, makes space for what's true. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. She'd rather have an empty garden than one filled with poison disguised as roses. And yeah, it's lonely. People call her selfish, distant, changed. But change isn't betrayal, it's evolution. She's not here to comfort those who profit from her staying small. Let's be clear, her circle is her soil. She chooses who gets to stay based on who shows up consistently, not just when it's convenient. Who invests in her growth, not just her resources. Who celebrates her wins without envy, her struggles without pity. She's been abandoned before friends who swore loyalty but bailed when her success shifted the dynamic that taught her to curate carefully. To let go without guilt. To prioritize her peace over pleasing those who'd rather see her dim than deal with their own shadows. Here's what's different. She builds community, not crowds. Surrounds herself with people who match her energy, not drain it. Who challenge her to rise, not beg her to shrink. Her circle isn't just friends, it's a council. Warriors who've walked through their own fires, who know growth isn't cheap and loyalty isn't casual. They're not here for gossip or validation. They're here for elevation, for truth, for holding each other accountable when comfort tempts compromise. And that soil produces something rare, a legacy that grows beyond her. Her environment shapes daughters who see their worth because she modeled it, sons who respect strength because she demanded it, communities stronger because she showed up with wisdom, not just wealth. She's not just tending her garden, she's planting seeds that outlast her, that bloom in lives she'll never meet. The secret? She's not afraid to be alone for a season. Better to stand solo than surrounded by people who pull you backward. Better to walk empty-handed than hold on to what poisons you. She knows the right ones will come. Those who see her value and rise to meet it, who don't need convincing because they recognize power when it's standing in front of them. That's the garden she tends. That's the soil where her legacy takes root. And those roots spread far beyond her garden. A powerful woman doesn't just live. She leaves a mark that reshapes the world long after she's gone. Her legacy isn't in what she builds for herself. It's in what grows because she dared to be undeniable. Every choice she makes, every standard she holds, every boundary she sets, plants seeds that bloom in lives she'll never see. She's not chasing fame or plaques. Her legacy is in the quiet ripples of her consistency. The way she shows up whole, even when it's hard, gives others permission to do the same. The way she refuses to shrink for comfort teaches daughters to stand tall, sons to honor strength, communities to demand better. She's been left behind before friends who faded when her growth outpaced their loyalty. But that didn't stop her. It showed her that real impact isn't about who stays, it's about what endures. Her presence sets a standard, not through preaching, but through being. People feel it, how she moves with purpose, how she loves without losing herself, how she rises without stepping on others. They don't forget her words or her style. They remember how she made them feel, called to be bigger, braver, truer. Not through shame, but through the quiet power of someone living what most only talk about. Here's the truth. Her legacy is built in moments nobody sees. When she chooses integrity over ease. When she holds her ground despite pressure to fold. When she invests in others, even when her own tank feels low. She's not perfect. She's human. Stumbles, doubts, hurts. But she keeps showing up, and that consistency compounds into something eternal. Proof that transformation is possible, that worth isn't tied to applause, that you can outgrow betrayal and still build something beautiful. She changes industries by refusing to play by broken rules, opens doors she had to kick down, smooths paths for those behind her, because why should they fight the same battles when her wisdom can clear the way? She mentors without hoarding, shares without gatekeeping, lifts without expecting credit. And that generosity multiplies. Her impact becomes the floor for the next generation, not the ceiling. Real talk, not everyone will get it. Some will resent her rise, call her difficult when she's just disruptive to systems that thrive on compliance. Others will try to dim her light because it exposes their shadows. She lets them go, knows her legacy isn't for those who need her small. It's for those ready to grow, ready to rewrite rules, ready to build lives that echo her courage long after she's gone. And that's what makes her eternal. Her life is a reference point, a reminder that one woman, committed to her truth and unafraid to stand alone when loyalty falters, can shift bloodlines, redirect futures, plant seeds that bloom into forests of change. She doesn't chase legacy. She lives it, choice by choice, day by day, until the world can't help but feel the weight of what she's left behind. And this is where it all burns brightest. Every woman who walks with unshakable certainty has faced pain that could have ended her. Not struggle, devastation, loss that rewrote her soul. Betrayal that rebuilt her trust from scratch. Pain so raw, it felt like the world was daring her to break. But she didn't. She took that fire and forged something unbreakable. Pain chooses you. Shows up when you're not ready, with no warning, demanding everything. Your plans, your pride, your illusions. The relationship you thought was forever crumbles. The dream you bet everything on collapses. The people you trusted turn their backs when you need them most. It's not fair. Feels like punishment. Some nights, she wonders if she's strong enough to survive it. If breathing through the hurt is worth it when surrender looks easier. But she keeps going. Not because it's noble, but because something in her refuses to let pain win. She sits with it, feels every jagged edge, lets it cut until she realizes breaking isn't ending. It's expanding. Devastation isn't destruction. It's reconstruction. Pain isn't just suffering. It's raw material for power. She didn't know she had. Here's what nobody tells you. Pain is a teacher. Betrayal shows you who's real when masks fall. Loss reveals what's worth keeping versus what you clung to out of habit. Failure strips away the noise so you see what's true. She learned to ask not why me, but what now? Not why did this happen, but what's this preparing me for? That shift turns victims into students, pain into purpose, wounds into fire that fuels her rise. Real talk, she doesn't hide the hurt, doesn't pretend it's pretty or inspirational. Some days, healing looks like surviving, nothing more. She cries, doubts, falls apart. But she keeps moving because stopping means letting pain define her, and she's not built for that. She chooses growth over grudges. Could have gone bitter. Nobody would have blamed her. Could have closed her heart, made sense after the hurt. But she stays open, discerning, not hard. Trusting, not naive. Loving, not reckless. And that's the alchemy, turning loss into lessons. She forgives, not for them, but for her peace. Lets go, not because it didn't matter, but because carrying it costs too much. Moves forward, not because she's forgotten, but because she's free. Free from needing apologies that won't come, justice that might not arrive, validation from people who never saw her worth. Her pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation, training her for battles she couldn't have faced without the strength carved in those dark nights. The woman who emerges isn't who she was. She's refined, clear, carrying a fire that burns away everything false. She knows her worth doesn't waver with circumstances. Knows she can survive abandonment because she survived it. Knows she can love again because she's learned to love herself first. That's the power of pain. It doesn't destroy her. It reveals her, shows her what she's made of when the world tries to break her. And what's left is a woman who walks with fire, not scars, because she turned her wounds into the fuel that lights her way. And that fire needs an anchor. When everything collapses, plans, people, promises, she stands because of faith, not blind hope or fake positivity that ignores the mess. Real faith. Tested, proven, earned through nights when she faced chaos and didn't sink. It's not about believing life will be perfect. It's about knowing she'll be okay no matter what comes. Her faith is a compass, not a map. It doesn't promise clear roads. It points to her North Star when paths disappear. When doors close, when loyalty fades, when the ground shifts, she doesn't ask, "Why is this happening?" She asks, "What's this making room for?" Not, "What am I losing?" but "What am I being guided toward?" That's faith. Seeing purpose in the pain, direction in the detour, protection in the rejection. Let's be clear. Faith looks like weakness to those who've never needed it. They see her let go and think she's giving up, see her release control and think she's passive. But surrender isn't quitting. It's trusting. Trusting she's being refined, not ruined. Trusting the universe isn't random, even when it feels cruel. Trusting every step serves her, even when it hurts, because her plans were always too small compared to what's possible when she lets go of what's familiar. She's got evidence. Every storm she survived, every time friends bailed, every betrayal, every failure, proved she's built for this. Every closed door saved her from traps she couldn't see. Every delay set her up for better timing. She trusts redirection now, sees obstacles as signals, reads no as protection, not theory, lived proof. She's 100% undefeated against life's hardest hits because she's still here, still moving, still growing. Faith isn't an accessory, it's her core. It lets her stand in uncertainty without panic, face setbacks without folding, endure loss without losing herself. She knows the darkest hour comes before dawn, and giving up right before the breakthrough is what most people do because they lack the anchor to hold on. Her faith isn't in perfect outcomes. It's in her capacity to handle whatever comes, her resilience, her strength, her ability to extract wisdom from chaos and keep walking. And that faith spreads. People see her calm in crisis, her peace in pressure, her belief when logic says quit. It makes them question their own surrender, their own panic. They wonder how she stays steady when life shakes, how she hopes without delusion, trusts without being foolish. Her faith isn't just for her. It's a beacon for those lost in their own darkness, proof that you can walk through chaos and come out, not just whole, but stronger. Here's what's wild. Faith doesn't make her immune to pain. It equips her to endure it. Doesn't skip the struggle. It prepares her to navigate it. Doesn't promise clear skies. It gives her an anchor to stand firm. When waves rise, she trusts the path, even when it's dark, because she's learned that darkness isn't the end. It's just the place where stars shine brightest. And that anchor fuels her rise. When she stands tall, she becomes more than herself. She becomes a signal. Her life isn't just hers anymore. It's watched, studied, followed. Leadership isn't optional when you've grown this far. It's your responsibility. Not because she sought it, but because her truth, her consistency, her courage make her unmistakable. And people look to her for what's possible when you refuse to stay small. Leadership isn't titles or corner offices. It's being so rooted in your values that others can't help but notice. Her presence commands without demanding. Her actions speak louder than speeches. She's been abandoned, seen loyalty shift when her success made others uneasy, but that didn't dim her. It clarified her. Made her lead by example, not explanation. By showing up real, not performing perfect. She's unmistakable because she's consistent. Same woman in private as in public. Same principles in struggle as in success. She doesn't bend for opportunities or compromise for applause. That integrity builds trust, not through charisma, but through reliability. When she says she'll show up, she does. When she commits, she delivers. People don't follow her words, they follow her actions, especially when those actions hold steady through betrayal or loss. Let's be real, leading is heavy. When you rise, you become a mirror. Your growth exposes others' stagnation. Your clarity highlights their confusion. Some will resent it, call you difficult when you're just disrupting what's broken. She keeps going, not for their approval, but for those watching who need proof that rising is possible. Daughters who need to see worth modeled. Sons who need to learn respect through example. Communities that need lifting, not just leading. She leads from the trenches, not a throne. Gets her hands dirty, helping others fight battles she's won. Shares wisdom without arrogance, guidance without control. She doesn't create followers, she creates leaders. Teaches people to stand on their own, not lean on her forever. Invests in those who show up willing, not entitled. Pours into those who match her effort, not drain it. Here's the kicker, she doesn't need credit. Plants seeds she may never see grow. Opens doors she fought to access, knowing some will walk through without a glance back. That's fine. Leadership isn't about ego, it's about impact. About leaving things better than she found them. About showing that you can survive abandonment, outgrow betrayal, and still lead with a heart that's open but discerning, generous but not foolish. Her leadership is permission. Permission to be authentic when the world demands performance. To be strong without hiding your humanity. To rise without apologizing for outgrowing those who can't keep up. She's proof that leadership isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the truest, the most reliable, the most unmistakable version of yourself, even when the world tries to make you doubt it's enough. And here's where it all comes together, where you see she was never lacking, never less, never defined by what the world counts. Her wealth isn't in banks, it's in her backbone, in boundaries held when pressure screamed fold, in peace carried through chaos, in love given without losing herself, in wisdom forged from fires nobody saw. They'll tell you to check her wallet, her address, her status. They're wrong. Her fortune is in how she rises after betrayal, rebuilds after loss, stays true when loyalty shifts. It's in the compass guiding her when paths disappear, the fire she turned from wounds, the garden she tends with care. Brother, when you meet a woman who knows her worth without needing your nod, you're standing before wealth no market can measure. She's not rich because she has things. She's powerful because she has herself, every choice carved from truth. Every boundary guarding her peace. Every step aligned with values that don't sway for trends or applause. That's the difference between money and mastery, between looking successful and being whole, between chasing worth and wearing it like a crown she earned through battles you'll never fully know. And she doesn't need you to see it. Your praise doesn't add to her. Your doubt doesn't subtract. She's complete. Standing in abundance, most chase but never claim because they're looking outside when it's always been inside. Every woman carries this spark. Not some, every single one, waiting for the moment she stops seeking validation and starts claiming what's hers. Remembering who she was before the world taught her to shrink, to doubt, to apologize for existing. When you see her, this woman who's walked through fire, held faith in darkness, led without needing followers, know you're witnessing a revolution. Not just beauty, but a blueprint. Not just strength, but a signal. Her power doesn't just elevate her. It lifts everyone ready for that frequency. If you're still measuring her by what's in her hands instead of what's in her heart, the lack isn't hers. It's in your lens, trying to fit an ocean into a cup. This is the truth they don't teach. She's not rich. She's powerful, worthy, whole. That's wealth that outlasts empires, shifts bloodlines, builds legacies, not in gold, but in lives changed by her courage to be herself. So go find her, or become her, or become worthy of standing beside her. The choice was always yours, and it's waiting.